What up, nerds? My name is No, go away. It's not time for you yet. My name is Leslie. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my weekly reading Stop! It's not time for you yet. My weekly reading wrap-up, which is all of the things that I read, what I'm still reading, and what I plan to read Okay, let me just address the elephant in the room. Monday morning at 7 a.m. on the channel, I will be doing a cover reveal for a highly anticipated sequel to a fantasy duology, so be watching for that. Now, seriously, go away. And before I forget, on Wednesday I put up a video where I was reorganizing my shelves because I got 2 new bookcases. My question to you guys was, are you satisfied with that? Or do you want a more involved tour where I go shelf by shelf, book by book? Let me know what you guys want and I will get to work on that. Now, let's talk about some reading. Monday morning, I read Stephen King's The Last Rung on the Ladder, which can be found in his Night Shift collection. So this one, I thought, okay, the title is a spoiler. I know it's gonna happen. And the way that it opens up with 2 children playing in a barn, I'm like, okay, I know how it got its title. We go further and I think, oh, no, an allegory for something else happening is what this title means. And that's where it came from. No. We keep going. More events. Like, the whole fun of the story for me was trying to figure out which event the title came from. So I enjoyed that part of it. It was definitely more on the serious side of things. I felt that it had a really good message from Stephen King to us saying, hey, pay attention to what's going on around you. I really enjoyed that one. Now that we're in a new month, that means it is time for my Joan Didion nonfiction essay of the month. This is part of a read-along that is hosted by Kate from the Literary Apothecary. This month's story was called Comrade Lasky, CP USA M-L. What does that mean? Communist Party USA, Marxist Leninist. That is quite the mouthful. Keep in mind, this is nonfiction. This person really existed. She really interviewed this guy. There are 2 quotes from this essay that just sum up the heart of the story. He believes with Mao that political power grows out of the barrel of a gun, a point he insists upon with blazing and self-defeating candor. You see what the world of Michael Lasky is. A minor but perilous triumph of being over nothingness. Then on my Kindle, out of the big book of classic fantasy that was edited by Anne and Jeff Vandermeer, I read the short story called The Queen's Son by Bettina von Arnim. This one I read to kick off the first week of February Fantasy Stories, which is an event created by the channel's The Bookish Bryants. This week's theme is classic fantasy that was written before 1971, and this story fit the bill because it was originally published in 1808. It's actually a story that this author wrote as a gift to her fiance. It's a story about a queen who became pregnant very quickly after her marriage to the king. But that is the only thing that happened quickly in this story because the queen's pregnancy lasted for 7 years. After she had been pregnant 2 years without giving birth, the king kicked her out to the forest and was like, something's wrong with you. I don't want you around, but then I don't want to get rid of you because that is my kid you're carrying. At the end of 7 years, she goes into labor and gives birth to a son. Well, a bear comes and snatches him and runs off with him. Before she can really react, she has 6 more sons. You heard me. This woman gave birth to a litter of children. Can you imagine? But what I found the most interesting about this little fantasy fairy tale written in 1808, the author is drawing attention to how we should respect nature and also the struggle between those with power and without. And then the final short story that I read this week, I read episode 4 of A Mini Tale, which is the story about a time-traveling mouseling named Opaline. You can find all of these episodes online at aminitale.com. So Alone Ashore is a 4-part story. So in this one, Opaline blips in. There is a town where all of the little people are gone except for 2. And one of the remaining people tell him they all went to this white island with these really tall cliffs. Of course, Opaline wants to investigate and see if he can help this guy out and restore the village. Well, it turns out this white island is actually concrete. All is not what it seems. And he meets some interesting new characters and runs into an old one, and also has a sneaking suspicion it's connected to the disappearance of the little god dragon Peridot. But what I love most about this little cosmic fantasy series is the creativity of all of these worlds that we're being shown. People or beings or animals. Oh my gosh. The one that I met in this episode, I could just picture it and I was just getting the biggest kick out of it. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to go read it and then I want you to imagine it too. It's a little bit horrifying, but also really funny. And then getting into the books that I completed this week. The first one is Green Rider by Kristen Britton. It's the first book in the Green Rider series. I am stoked to say I finished it. I loved it. I will be continuing this series. I already have book 2. I need to get to looking for the others, but this book turned out to be a surprise hit. I thought the writing style was so simple that a 3rd grader could read it, understand it, and enjoy it probably better than me. But that really changed. I don't know if it just started off a certain way and then the writer just kind of got in the groove and just found her flow. I don't know. Or did the story just get that good? Somebody tell me, did the writing style change? Am I imagining things because I just got taken in by the story? There were so many things that I found interesting. The world, the magic, both the good magic and the bad magic, the political intrigue. Now the political intrigue seemed to be the biggest part of this story. Well, that and just learning what a Green Rider is. I don't know. I don't even know what was my favorite. I just really loved it. And then once I got past the writing style, I thought, well, we have a teenager who's the main character. This is YA, right? Oh no. Things got dark really quick. This girl got her ass kicked more than Tyrion Lannister did in all of the current books that are out in A Song of Ice and Fire. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I got so invested in this book. I enjoyed every single minute of it after about the first 4 chapters. And then let's talk about the book that ripped my heart out, The Winter of the Witch. I love this trilogy. It's going to be an annual winter reread for me, except when I get to this book in the future, I will just go straight to chapter 4 or 5. I will never forget the first 3 chapters of this book. When I tell you guys, I was sobbing. You can ask Evie from She Was Only Evie. I sent her Voxer messages where you can barely understand me through my tears. This book ripped my heart out and stomped on it. It has taken over the book that has made me cry the hardest. That title no longer belongs to Ruin by John Gwynne. Ruin only made me cry once. This book made me cry twice. In fact, after the first 3 chapters, I was crying so hard that I couldn't read anymore. I cried for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I woke up the next morning. My face was still swollen. My eyes were red and gritty. It was awful. On Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'm going to be in a live show with the channel She Was Only Evie. We're going to be talking about the second book in this trilogy, The Girl in the Tower, which is my favorite. I cannot wait. Come join us if you have read that book. We'd love to have you for a discussion. Today, what am I going to start reading? First up, A Brightness Long Ago by Guy Gabriel Kay. First, I have to get a quick fix because this book smells so good. I have had this book almost a year and it still smells wonderful. Love it. So I'm sure that's a sign that this is going to be a fantastic story. I don't know anything about it other than what happens in the first 3 chapters. And it opens up with a girl named Adria, and she is brought to a room in a tower where there's a guy that she stabs, and he stabs her back. And then there's this big deal where is she going to be able to get away? That's all I know. But it's Guy Gabriel Kay. I have really high hopes for him. I read Sagana by him last year and just absolutely love it. And then I need to get started on the read-along that I am a co-host for, The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Come join me, the Codex Cantina, Christy Lewis, Pay Veo from Attention. We are hosting a read-along for this book during the months of February and March. I will have a link to the Literary Discourse Discord below where you can come by and join in the conversation. I don't know anything about this book, not one bit. There is a kickoff live stream for this book that we had on the channel last night. Go check it out if you want some more information to see if this is a story you might be interested in reading. As far as short stories, I know that I'll be hitting up a Stephen King short story. I'm going to read Uncle Monday by Zora Neale Hurston. Believe it or not, that short story is considered a classic fantasy tale prior to 1971. When I saw that, you know I was all over it because I love me some Zora Neale Hurston. And while we're talking about Zora, I'm also going to be working on her essay collection. And then the only other one that I know of for sure that I'll probably go ahead and get into is Stephen Graham Jones' 3 Miles Past. I believe this is a collection of 4 short stories by him. You guys know I love me some Stephen Graham Jones, and I cannot wait to tell you about it next week. Have a fantastic rest of your day, a wonderful weekend. Don't forget about the cover reveal on Monday, and I will see you in the next one.